If you're passionate about professional wrestling as a narrative art form, if you care about character psychology and storyline depth, then you need to subscribe to WWE Express and ring the notification right now if you're still new so you never miss an episode. We explore the stories that make wrestling matter, the character arcs that define careers, and the psychological warfare that separates good wrestling from great wrestling. Picture this: Raw. The aftermath of a main event that left the entire arena buzzing. Obafimi has just decimated his opponent with that signature dominance that has defined his meteoric rise through WWE. The crowd is electric. Obafimi is standing tall, arms raised, basking in the adulation. He is exactly where he wants to be, on the precipice of something massive, positioned as the next unstoppable force in professional wrestling. And then the lights shift, the atmosphere changes, the crowd recognizes something ancient stirring. The Undertaker appears, not in a competitive sense, not arriving to challenge or fight, but simply present, walking down that aisle with the gravitas of someone who has seen everything professional wrestling has to offer. Someone who has encountered every type of competitor, survived every era, and emerged as perhaps the most legendary force in WWE history. And when The Undertaker walks to the ring for a reason, everyone pays attention. This scenario is narratively fascinating because it represents something profound in professional wrestling. It's the moment where the old guard, the men who built the company and defined what it means to be at the absolute top, acknowledges the rising generation. It's mentorship, it's a passing of knowledge, but it's also a warning rooted in experience that only someone who has been where Obafimi aspires to be can truly deliver. The Undertaker enters the ring. Obafimi, initially confused, watches this legendary figure approach him. There's respect there. Obafimi understands the historical significance of The Undertaker. Everyone in professional wrestling understands The Undertaker's place in the pantheon, but there's also a question in Obafimi's eyes. Why is he here? The Undertaker, with that slow, methodical manner of speaking that commands attention without volume, begins to speak. And what he says cuts right to the heart of everything that matters. He's watched Obafimi's rise. He's seen the dominance. He's observed the physical power, the psychological presence, the way Obafimi has dismantled opponent after opponent with an efficiency that reminds him of some of the greatest competitors he's faced in his career. The Undertaker doesn't sugarcoat it. Obafimi has the tools. Obafimi has the presence. Obafimi is legitimately dangerous. But then comes the crucial part. The part that everything hinges on. The Undertaker tells Obafimi that he needs to understand something fundamental before he continues climbing that mountain. There is a level of competition in professional wrestling that exists beyond even the elite tier that Obafimi currently occupies. There is a competitor, a force of nature named Brock Lesnar, who operates in a different stratosphere entirely. The Undertaker doesn't say this to discourage Obafimi. He says it because he's been in the ring with Brock Lesnar. He knows intimately what that encounter means. He knows what Lesnar brings to any situation. The Undertaker explains to Obafimi that everyone Obafimi has faced up to this point, every victory that Obafimi has accumulated, every statement that Obafimi has made in the ring, all of it is impressive. All of it demonstrates legitimate credibility. But Brock Lesnar is the measuring stick by which WWE's most dominant forces are measured. Lesnar doesn't fight the way other competitors fight. Lesnar doesn't have weaknesses the way other competitors have weaknesses. Lesnar is an anomaly. A genuinely dangerous human being who has dedicated himself to destruction. And here's where the psychology gets really deep. The Undertaker isn't telling Obafimi to be afraid. The Undertaker is telling Obafimi to be aware. There's a crucial difference. Fear clouds judgment. Fear makes you hesitate. Fear makes you question yourself. Awareness, on the other hand, is preparation. Awareness is respect. Awareness is understanding exactly what you're walking into and making the conscious choice to proceed anyway. The Undertaker shares specific insights from his own encounters with Lesnar. He describes the explosiveness, the raw physical power, the way Lesnar can shift from controlled destruction to pure chaos in a single moment. He explains that Lesnar's greatest strength isn't just his physicality, it's his ability to impose his will on any competitor through sheer force and determination. When Lesnar decides a match is over, the match becomes very difficult to continue for his opponent. But The Undertaker also reveals something crucial. He tells Obafimi that despite all of Lesnar's dominance, despite all of Lesnar's legitimacy as the most dangerous competitor in WWE, there is a way to compete with him. There are approaches. There are philosophies that have worked against the beast incarnate. It's not about trying to outstrong Lesnar. No one outstrongs Brock Lesnar. It's about strategy. It's about preparation. It's about understanding that this particular match, this particular encounter, requires something different than everything else Obafimi has done. The Undertaker's tone throughout this entire interaction communicates respect. He's not diminishing Obafimi's accomplishments. He's not suggesting that Obafimi doesn't belong at the highest level. What he's doing is contextualizing Obafimi's rise within the broader landscape of WWE's most dangerous competitors. He's providing perspective that only someone with The Undertaker's historical significance can provide. Obafimi listens. And this is the beautiful part of the storytelling opportunity. Does Obafimi take this warning to heart? Does he recognize The Undertaker as someone who has survived literally everything professional wrestling has thrown at him and see that as valuable counsel? Or does Obafimi, riding high on his current success, dismiss this as an old legend trying to maintain relevance by suggesting that the younger generation needs to be cautious? That tension, that question, is what makes this scenario so compelling from a narrative perspective, because both choices lead to interesting places. If Obafimi heeds the warning, we're setting up a match where Obafimi goes into combat with Lesnar fully aware of what awaits him. He's studied the tape. He's absorbed The Undertaker's counsel. He's prepared in a way that only someone who truly understands the stakes can prepare. That's a storyline about respecting the game enough to learn from those who have mastered it. If Obafimi dismisses the warning, if he allows his confidence and his momentum to override the wisdom of someone he should inherently respect, then we're looking at a narrative about hubris. About the dangers of believing that your current success is an accurate predictor of future success against the absolute elite. About learning hard lessons against an opponent who doesn't negotiate or compromise when he's decided to dismantle someone. The Undertaker's final words to Obafimi would be absolutely critical to this entire exchange. He doesn't threaten Obafimi. He doesn't attempt to intimidate him. Instead, The Undertaker simply offers a final piece of counsel. He tells Obafimi to remember this conversation when he's standing across from Brock Lesnar. To remember that he was warned not out of malice, but out of respect. Out of recognition that Obafimi is genuinely talented enough to be in this conversation, and The Undertaker respects the talent too much to let Obafimi walk into the situation blind. The beauty of this moment, the reason it works so well narratively, is that it accomplishes several things simultaneously. It elevates Brock Lesnar by having The Undertaker, perhaps the most credible authority figure in professional wrestling history, confirm that Lesnar operates in a rarefied air. It respects Obafimi by treating him as someone worthy of The Undertaker's time and counsel. It positions The Undertaker as the mentor figure, the veteran who has seen it all and is willing to share that experience with the rising generation. And it creates a genuine sense of anticipation for what comes next. Because now the WWE Universe understands the stakes. We're not just waiting to see if Obafimi can beat Brock Lesnar. We're waiting to see if Obafimi has absorbed the wisdom of The Undertaker. We're watching to see if a young, hungry competitor can take the counsel of a living legend and use that to attempt the seemingly impossible task of competing with Brock Lesnar on equal footing. This is wrestling at its finest. Not just physical athleticism, but psychological depth. Not just wins and losses, but the narrative weight that comes with those results. Not just competition, but the human element of mentorship, respect, and the transfer of knowledge between generations. If you appreciated this breakdown of how professional wrestling can use veteran mentorship and generational dynamics to create compelling storytelling, if you understand that wrestling is more than just athletic competition but rather a sophisticated narrative medium, then you absolutely need to be subscribed to WWE Express. We dive deep into these character moments. We analyze the psychology that separates good storytelling from great storytelling. We celebrate wrestling as the legitimate art form it is. Subscribe to WWE Express right now and join a community that sees professional wrestling as a profound expression of human drama, character development, and the eternal struggle between ambition and experience. Subscribe today.